Welcome to the Awaken Heart Podcast. I'm your host, Nancy Walters. Get ready to create magic and miracles as you lean into your heart's desires. I believe not only does the heart want what it wants, but it knows. This show is a weekly deep dive into what it means to live from an awakened heart. I'll be sharing inspiring stories and real conversations with people just like you, who have turned the ordinary into the extraordinary. My mission is to show you how you too can be connected and heart-centered in every area of your life. Your journey to aligning with more love, more joy, and your wildest dreams come true starts now. Welcome to the Awaken Heart Podcast. I'm your host, Nancy Walters, and I just wanted to come on really quick today because it's been a minute since I put a podcast out, and I always want to be honest and transparent about things that are happening in my life. Like, I don't always have everything figured out, and I do my best to stay positive and, be an influence to all those that are out there with the divine feminine and about life and all that stuff. Well, I have been in a little bit of a funk lately, and I know a lot of us have been because it's a year into this whole lockdown coronavirus with so much uncertainty still going on out there in the world. Statistically, mental health problems have worsened across all age groups this year. In adults, the proportion of individuals showing symptoms of depression has almost doubled since the start of the pandemic. According to a recent poll from the Office of the National Statistics, is showing that over 40% of adults are showing moderate or severe symptoms of depression. Also, the mental health of children has taken a toll, and the suicide rates have gone up exponentially. So what exactly is driving these mental health problems? It's really important to take a look at that. Most people are feeling stressed and anxious, like 85% are having moderate or severe symptoms. 72% are worried about the future, and a large percentage are feeling bored, followed by feeling lonely, too much time alone, strain on relationships, feeling like a burden, especially the older communities, and there's no one to talk to. Excessive worry seems to continue to be on the rise, and it even impacts teens more than ever. And it's having devastating consequences. I mean, there's human cost to these lockdowns. Well, I wasn't any different than some of these statistics, and I literally went into a funk where nothing was bringing me joy. I was blaming all my outside circumstances for the way I was feeling. I didn't want to get out of bed. The state of the world was hanging heavy on me. I got lost in, all my news sources, and everything was just one dismal thing after another. I mean, I didn't want to do a podcast. I love doing these podcasts, and I didn't even want to do that. I didn't want to do my women's group. I didn't want to do anything. And I was talking to a friend recently, and she had the same thing, and it cracks me up. And this is why it's so important to have friends that you can talk to. She was like, we had 5 days of snowstorms here. We had 5 days of snowstorms here in Portland. When snow's in Portland, things shut down and there's ice and you can't go outside. You can't drive your car or anything. Everything shuts down. I was lucky because I was out of town that weekend. But she said 5 days of staying in and not be able to do anything. She got really depressed, and she was like, I didn't want to do my photos. I didn't want to read. I didn't want to sit down. I didn't want to stand up. I didn't want to lay down. I didn't want to do anything. And then another friend, she's like, I have dishes in the sink. I didn't do my dishes for a week. And it's just, little things would just seem so hard to do. And when we're in those funks, it feels like it's never going to end, or you're not going to get out of it. So slumps happened. It's really important to recognize slumps happen to everyone. And at some point or another, we've all found ourselves, as this pandemic drags on and on and on and on, we might be more prone to dropping into these kind of funks until we return to a new normal. Well, I don't buy into that new normal. This is the new right now, because God forbid what that new normal is. And that's what part of the depression on my end was. And, a lot of people feel like they're going through the motions and we're doing the same things over and over. And it can be true when you're working from home. So a lot of people are working from home and not getting that whole human interaction. And a lot of parents, a lot of moms, a lot of dads are having to school their children as well. So it's really taken a huge toll. And a lot of us might feel like there's nothing to look forward to, and we're running in place while everyone else is moving forward. So, our travel's been impacted. The way we spend time with families, we're not able to go and see family. And who knows when we're going to be able to see family. And, there's just so much uncertainty. It's easy to think, what's wrong with me? Because I thought that. I'm like, what is wrong with me? A slump, a funk, a rut is fairly short-lived. It can be a bad day, it could be a couple weeks, it could be a month. Sometimes our slumps can be a reaction to something that happened to us. And a lot is happening to us, and we're feeling it as a collective, even if you can't pinpoint what it is. You're feeling lonely in quarantine. Like, I've gone through this quarantine by myself, and even though I had times where I luckily spent a lot of it working full time and working with clients, doing loan signings and getting, that kind of interaction. But the friend time, going out to a bar, going out to a pub, going out for coffee, halted. So much time was like, okay, what do I do now? I've gone to work, I come home, I cook, I clean, and I go for my walks. All right, what next? So it just got to me. And, it's just recognizing that sometimes our slumps are there, and there might not be something specific, but I think a lot of people have something very specific happening to them, and sometimes you can't pinpoint or identify a reason why you're feeling this way. It helps talking to someone. Oftentimes getting an outsider perspective helps, and that's when I talked to my two girlfriends and realized they were going through the exact same thing, helped me realize that I'm not alone. So that's a really important thing, is to have people that you can talk to. And another thing is showing yourself some self-compassion. Consider talking to yourself as if you were the friend. Oftentimes we're harsh or impatient with ourselves when we're feeling sad or down. But if a friend came to us, going through something similar, we'd show them kindness and understanding. We're so hard on ourselves. We'd assure our friends that everything is going to be okay. And we remind them that they're a good person. This won't last forever, because when we're in it, we don't feel like a good person. We feel like we're a burden, or we feel like we're being just so negative, and it doesn't feel like we're going to get out of it. So we need to show ourselves some grace and gentleness. One of the ways to get out of the funk is to embrace the funk. Be okay with it. Realize you're in it. Don't deny it. Just sit with it and be okay with sitting with it. Don't beat yourself up for it if you're feeling blue. Slumps happen from time to time, and they can affect anyone. Most funks hit people for a couple of days before the clouds lift. More like myself, it was a couple of weeks. I didn't feel like doing anything. I didn't feel like doing this podcast. I didn't feel like doing things that brought me joy. I didn't feel like doing, all the programs and helping women, or just I didn't feel like doing anything. I didn't want to exercise. I didn't want to meditate, and I didn't. I got off my meditation game. I got off my morning practice. And now it's about going back and retraining myself to get back into the things that help me with my mind and help me find joy within myself. Because like I said, we are responsible for our own joy and happiness. Digging yourself out of a funk begins as an inside job. And sure, there are resources and people who can help you, but ultimately, one of the first things to do is look within. So one of the things that I did this morning was, okay, I can't keep, there's always a breaking point. You get to that breaking point, it's like, oh my God, I'm crawling on my skin. I can't take this anymore. Is when we're feeling anxiety, we're usually focused on the future. And if we're feeling like guilt or regret, we're focused on the past. If we're worrying about the future, focused on the past. So I was sitting there and just thinking about the present. Don't go too far ahead. It's like I'm in bed. I've got my animals with me, listening to the sounds outside, and, not grabbing the phone and looking at the news or getting onto social media and going down that spiral and that rabbit hole of distress. So, and I have a great mantra that's always helped me. It's like, it's God time in bed, asking the empowering questions, like what is trying to emerge through me? What is trying to express through me? what is the highest ideal for my life? Like asking empowering questions and actually waiting for the answer, And, one of my favorite things is saying, I am a blessed child of God. I am happy. Great abundance is on its way because as God's child, I'm empowered to create miracles. So getting back into that self-soothing and, being open to suggestions and, not being so focused on the worrying about, regret from the past and worrying about the future. There's so much worrying about the future. The only thing that exists is the right now and in the present and being there and being present for that. So don't be afraid to take some time to just sit with your feelings. They won't harm you, as I discovered. And the good news is that if you give yourself time and permission to feel that you're feeling, you can just name the emotion and you can just start moving past it. And feelings are like waves. Sometimes the waves will hit the shore, but that's okay, darling. That's okay. You're still healing. So be gentle with yourself. So, go ahead and watch that sad movie or listen to a sad song. It's perfectly okay to nurture yourself for a few days while you work through whatever it is that you're feeling. Take the time to feel cranky, sad, frustrated, or just plain weird. Doing something doesn't mean you're weak. It means that you're human and you're acknowledging yourself. So how do we get out of a rut? Here's some simple keys to getting out of a rut. Number one is connection. Because of this period, we are lacking it. As humans, we're social animals. And this year has really taught us a lot. I mean, yes, there's Zoom, there's virtual things to do, but nothing beats being face to face in front of someone and having that energy of a friend or a hug from a loved one. So whatever we can do right now, have that connection, a phone call with a friend. Things are thankfully opening up right now, meeting someone for coffee, even if it's social distancing during a walk, just getting that human interaction and connecting with others makes us feeling more fulfilled. Movement is really important. So, and that's another thing that I've been lacking is I love group fitness. I haven't been able to do that in the last year. Well, that really helps your mental health because it's not just a physical thing. It's actually good for your brain. It stimulates endorphins and you're getting that all those chemicals going in your body. So get some movement. I love to get outside and take my walk. So I always say connecting with nature is such an important thing. When you're eating healthier, that helps too. You can get out of the funk because, it's easy to sit down. I did a self-soothing grocery trip the other day and I came home with loads of ice cream and mochi and, all those kind of dessert things. So, getting into more healthier eating will help your mood as well and help get you out of funk. But an occasional ice cream can help you as well. And this is a really important one for me. And a lot of us is manage your exposure to social media and news, especially mainstream news. I do not like mainstream news, but I do get caught up in my other news. While I find the stuff that I listen to, it's a lot of truth or talk, but still seeing what's happening out there in the world can be very distressing. And I've mentioned how the Great Awakening is not very pretty or pleasant, but it's also important to balance that knowledge with taking everything with a grain of salt and not getting swept up or consumed by it. So, it's about raising our awareness and how do we not get swept away with it. So an important thing maybe is to limit your exposure to it. You can set a timer on Instagram. I've gone way over my 45 minutes lately because I got swept away by all that. But setting a timer so you limit your exposure to it. Sometimes distractions and self-care can be the best ways to help us work through these ruts. Another thing is getting enough sleep. Focus on getting enough sleep because it's very important to rejuvenate yourself. And it's very important to practice mindfulness. So realize when you're feeling a certain way and what you can do about it. And it's so important to stay in the present moment. So, a lot of what's happening out there we cannot control, but we can control how we react to it. You may notice during these times that your head is so wrapped up in worrying about the future. Use these moments as an opportunity to return to the present moment. Remind yourself that regardless of what happens in the future, you will be able to handle it. After all, you always have been able to handle whatever life has thrown at you. Just practicing this a few times a day should cause you to be more present overall, and you will likely notice a decrease in any chronic worrying. While there are numerous ways to slow down and be more present, the key to cutting down on the worry is remembering the importance of doing so. So just know, if you are going through the same thing, if you're going through a funk, you will be able to pull yourself out of it. It doesn't last forever. I thought it was going to last forever. Well, not really, but it felt like it was going to last forever. So just be gentle with yourself. You'll get through this. I'm so grateful things are starting to open up again. And it just shows the importance of people's well-being is being around other people and, having something lively. I mean, initially it was so great. Like we get to, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Well, great. We're all in this together. It'll be great to slow down and do all the things that we've wanted to do. Well, fast forward a year later. Man, y'all, did you think that we were going to still be in this? But here we are. Right? So we've got to make the most of it. And if you're feeling like bluesy and, to put it mildly, shitty, just know that it's okay. It's okay. There's so much going on right now, and you will get through it. So that's my little take of the day. I just wanted to come on here and just talk about that real quick. It was like a doozy, and all you can do is just move forward and, getting back into your routines and getting back in things that make you happy. It comes down to practice and, having mind over matter and, having your friends, and we'll all get through this, right? Well, I love y'all. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back. We'll be back again with more wonderful guests and more inspiring episodes, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Awaken Heart Podcast. If you've enjoyed what you've heard today, share it with a friend. And if you haven't already, head on over to your favorite podcast app to subscribe, rate, and review. If you have any comments, questions, or feedback, you can reach me at theawakenheartpodcast.com.